Okay, so we're looking at case scenario 2 where we have x squared minus bx plus c. In this setup, we have that the second term is what? Negative. And then the product level term is what? Positive. Now, we have a case question now because exercise 9C on page 92 of our textbook would focus on this scenario, just this particular one, where we have the sum term to be what? Negative, while the product term is what? Positive. So, before we proceed, what we need to do is to say the sum of factors is what? Negative 4. I wouldn't put 4x again because I know that my description will be in terms of x. So, whether I put x or not, it doesn't really matter. Now, product of factors here will be what? Plus 3. Now, what conditions would give you a positive product? Is either both are positive or both are what? Negative. Now, the one to use will be a function of what the sum is. If the sum is negative and the product is positive, it would mean that this is the one I ought to use. And that's what you need to see under this condition. Where this one is positive, when this one is positive and this is negative, both factors you are looking for must both be what? Negative. So I'll call me a factors. I'll have both of them to be what? Negative. Having satisfied that condition, the next thing I'll try to look at will be this. This is what? 3, is that not? This is what? Negative 4. Fine. What two numbers will I multiply to get an odd number? Both must be odd. The only way to get odd product is to multiply what? Odd numbers. How do we get an even sum? It's either both of them will be even or both of them will be what? Odd. So we discover that looking at this condition and this condition, I see that these two are common to each other. So it means that the factors I'm looking for are both going to be what? Odd. So I come back here, I look at 3. What two numbers will I multiply to get 3? Beautiful. So this will be negative 3 and negative 1. So I will transfer this information here now. I'm going to have x squared minus 3x minus x plus 3. This is the place where you now need to be very careful. Now, if I look at these two terms, I'm going to have x common, is that not? Into x minus 3. Now, if I look at these two terms, please watch carefully because this idea we are trying to talk about, you're going to see it a lot when you come to your grade 11. So if you understand the concept now, it's an advantage for you. This is negative, this is positive. Is that not? This is negative, this is positive. But look at the brackets. This is positive and this is what? Negative. The only way I can make a negative positive is to apply a negative. So if I factor a negative out of a negative, I'm going to get a positive. If I factor negative out of a positive, I'm going to get a negative. And then it becomes negative. So what I have done is to make this one to resemble this. Resemblance. What you have in this bracket must be the same as what you have in this bracket. So I could have just said positive into it, but no. There's a rule. What I have here must resemble this. And hence I've gotten this to be positive. The only way I can make this one positive is to factor out a negative. Remember we have said negative times negative is what? Positive. So that idea helps you out. So this will now give you a negative 1. The negative is never in isolation. That's why 1 becomes a very important factor when you're treating what? Algebra. So this becomes what? X minus 3, which is common to both, into what? X minus 1. And this becomes our final answer. So that's for question number 1. I'll leave you to now try your hands for question number 2. Okay, we continue by trying to look at question 2 of that same exercise. And over here, we just start by saying some of the factors. And I just told you can forget about the y thing. You can fix that later. The product of the factors will be what? 2. So the factors, because of the case scenario we're treating, we know that it will be both, they will both be negative. I'm having an even number here. I'm having an odd number here. For me to have an even by product, one is either both are even or one is even and the other is what? Odd. If I'm going to add and I'm having odd, the surest way to have odd is to have odd even. That's the condition to have an odd when you're adding numbers. Where you have odd even. If you add up 2 evens or you add up 2 odds, you will get what? Even. So if we understand this very well, it means that this is the condition we need to use. 1 even, 1 odd. So I'll go back to 2. What 2 numbers will I multiply to get 2? 2 and 1. So I'll have 2 here and I'll have 1. So that will now be what? Y squared minus 2y minus y plus 2. Now notice that there's a technique being repeated here consistently and you need to look out for it. This will now be y into y minus 2. Look at it again. This is positive and this is negative. So I do what? I will have to factor out a negative. That will be negative 1 into y. And when I factor negative from a positive, I'm going to get a negative. And that will give me y. Oh, sorry about that. This will be 2. That will be y minus 2 because it's what I have common to both into y minus 1. And that clears out question 2 for us. Okay, we have another question on the board. F squared minus 16f plus 28. The pattern is still the same. My sum of factors will be negative 16 and my product of factors will be 28. The next thing I'll try to do is to get out my factors. And because of my concentration here, hence this is positive and this is negative. It means the factors I'm working with must both be what? Negative. So the big one here is this. This is even and this is even. It means that both factors I'm looking for must both be what? Even. This is even, this is even. Both factors I'm looking for must both be even. Now, this is where maybe you need to do a little work. I will look at 28. I start by trying to do my multiplication tree. This will be 14 times 2, is that not? And that's the only possibility where both numbers are even. So without going any further, I know that these are 2 numbers I need. Without wasting time. Once I get what I want, I proceed with it. So I'm going to have 14, I'm going to have 2. So I'll come here, I'm going to have f squared minus 14f minus 2f plus what? 28. Right? And this will now be what? F into f minus 14. Remember that this is a call to your factorization. So if you fail to understand that factorization has to do with HCF, you may be wondering what we're doing here. And this will become what? I have a negative here, I have to make it positive. But be careful. This is 2. It's not just only negative I have. 2 is also a factor of this 2. So I'll pick 2 out. I'll be left with f minus 14. Remember how that works. If I factor a negative out of a negative, I'll get a positive. If I factor a negative out of a positive, I'll get what? A negative. Alright. So that's settled. I'm going to have f minus 14, which is common to this and this. And I'm left with f minus 2. That takes care of that problem. Now, the first temptation you have will be to say sum of factors, product of factors, and whatever. I always try to avoid this teaching method. See yourself as somebody who is being trained to be a good swimmer. Nobody tells you that this is what you must do at this particular time. What you do is a function of the situation you are faced with. Remember in our previous example, I drew our attention to something. If this is a perfect square, you really need to look at it very well. This is a perfect square. Okay, so we're going to have our sum of factors to be -10 and our product of factor to be 25. Now, 25 is a perfect square, which means 5 squared or 5 times 5. Now, if I add that 5 to 5, what I'm going to get will be what? 10. So, without wasting time, I just simply come here to tell us that x minus 5 will be what? Into x minus 5. And that will be 5x minus 5 all squared. I don't need to waste my time because I know that the sum is negative. We don't have a negative here. So I don't need to break it. But, okay, let's now assume that you're not, if we go by our old school approach, factors will now be what? Negative and negative. And the two numbers I'll multiply to get 25 will be what? 5. And if I add them, I'm going to get what? 10. So this will be 5 and this will be 5. Just to show you that what I've done is very correct. And this will be what? X squared minus 5x minus 5x plus 25. And then I'll factor x out of that. That will be x into x minus 5. Remember, I need to take out a negative to make this positive. Negative 5 into x minus 5 because I took out a negative to make this negative. And I'll be left with x minus 5 into x minus 5. And that will give me what? X minus 5 all squared. Meaning x minus 5 is multiplied how many times? Twice. And that takes care of that.